What's up, everyone? Welcome to my channel, Stunner Sports TV. I am your host, Amber, and I am going to be reacting to the latest in sports news. So I'm primarily going to be giving my take on shows like First Take and Undisputed. So let's get started. Okay, so now we're going to be reacting to a video in which they discuss whether it would be a good idea for the Giants owner to trade Odell Beckham Jr. So let's go ahead and see what they have to say about this.
Are the Giants overreacting?
I think they're overreacting. And the reason why I think that they're overreacting is because this is a guy that's one of the elite receivers in the game of football. We know what he brings to the table. And the reality of the situation is assuming that he isn't using any kind of cocaine, because that white substance that woman in the room with him was using clearly appeared to be cocaine. Assuming it's not something that egregious, then what Odell Beckham Jr. is tantamount to being just a headache. And I get tired of so many times where you look at teams and because somebody is a headache, you feel the need to get rid of them. He's an electrifying talent. Sometimes headaches come along with it. Everything can't always be peachy keen. It can't always be a bed of roses or what have you. Obviously, if you can get a couple of #1 picks for a guy like Odell Beckham Jr., that's considered incredibly valuable. So if the Cleveland Browns were willing to surrender the 1st or the 4th overall pick in the first round this year, along with a first round second year, you got to consider that. If the Indianapolis Colts were willing to do something tantamount to that, well, since they have the #6 pick now that they moved down from #3, along with a first round pick next year, you'd have to consider it. But for the most part, this comes down to the fact that you wouldn't even be thinking about this if you're John Mara, who was 100% committed to Odell Beckham Jr. a year ago. You wouldn't even be thinking about this if you hadn't tired of answering questions about him and his behavior. But he's never been arrested. He's never been suspended. So it's not lawlessness that we're talking about here. What we're talking about is an individual that's a headache. And I personally get tired of teams who have a hard time dealing with headaches. That's what Tylenol is for, and other medicinal devices. That's what those things are for. People are headaches sometimes, particularly when they're stars. Deal with it.
Well, I totally agree with that. Like when people talk about a GM or an owner doesn't want to deal with a certain personality. From the fans' point of view, the GM or owner can deal with that personality until that GM or owner expires. The fans do not care if that personality is attached to a top-end producer, which is what Odell Beckham Jr. is. There's no other talent like him. Yes, I'm including Julio Jones and Antonio Brown. No, I cannot put him ahead of those guys until he shows up in the playoffs, as those guys have. But his peak, I'm telling you right now, is the highest peak there is at the receiver position, period. That includes everyone. He just needs that peak to show up when it matters most. Now, this comes down to the question, are the Giants really reacting appropriately, or are they overreacting? They are reacting appropriately because Stephen A., this is not about, I don't think, actually his personality. I believe this is about his injury history. So Odell helps you win, just him on the field or him off the field. If it's just about that, you have Odell, you have a much, much better chance to win. That goes for everyone. But it's not just about that. It's if Odell's on the field, who else is not on the field because you had to pay Odell. So I think all the personality stuff is an excuse for the Giants not to pay him. I think they're worried about committing tons of dollars to a guy in a hard cap league who has an injury history. From Odell's point of view, he's like, yeah, I have an injury history, and this is a hurt business. I want my guaranteed dollars. And
they're not overreacting and saying that he's untouchable, because unless you are Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or some player who has proven yourself time and time again without numerous off-the-field incidents, then yeah, you can get touched. Like, nobody is untouchable. And Odell, while you are a great and you have shown your abilities through the past 3 or 4 years, however many years you've been in the league, we've seen great things from you. But we've also seen you in the playoffs. And I mean, I shouldn't say we saw you in the playoffs, but we heard you were there. We were looking for you, but we couldn't find you. So yeah, that kind of says a little bit about that. The Giants won Super Bowls without you. And while you are a great player and would be valuable to a team, this particular team has failed to advance in the playoffs with you on the roster. So now that you've been injured, what is to say that you should be entitled to be paid like you think they should be paid? Like Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, and the like have proven their success not only in the regular season but as well in the playoffs, and have proven that they're an asset to their team when it counts. Meanwhile, you are on boats with your shirts off and your Timberland boots, and with your people, those people that you hang out with, which is fine, but we shouldn't be able to see all of your actions on social media, because people are going to judge you based off of your actions on social media, and because that's the day and age that we're living in. And scrolling through comments on Giants, on Giants sound message boards about you, a lot of people would like for you to leave. They don't care. They feel like you're a headache that they don't want to deal with, and they feel like your shenanigans are not worth the small contributions that you are able to bring the team. So, I'm saying that like I'm specifically speaking to you, but overall, I don't feel like the Giants are overreacting. What I feel like they are and should be doing is letting you know that, Odell, you can get touched. This team does not revolve around you. We understand that you may bring in revenue to a certain aspect, to a certain extent, but you're not helping this team succeed. You may help us, maybe not have a losing record sometimes, but when it counts in the playoffs where we've already won without you, what are you bringing to the table besides crying, making out with nets, and various sassy dance moves and videos with cocaine whores? Not a whole lot. There's just, I'm seriously getting a T.O. vibe from you. I've heard that a few times, but the more that I look at you and your situations, yes, T.O. didn't get in trouble legally, although you are being sued and there is, some questionable video about you. But T.O. was a problem with the locker room. T.O. was all about him and just felt like he should be the star of the show, and that's just kind of the vibe that I get from you, like you're just Hollywood. And it really doesn't matter to you whether you win or not. And some people care about winning. And so I don't feel like the Giants are overreacting, because I want them to send the message to Odell that he is not bigger than the team. And the team is going to go on without him as they did before he got there. So while he thinks that he's entitled to whatever based on his numbers have not resulted in wins when it counted. And also, he's coming off an injury and more background noise than some organizations want to put up with. And so that's pretty much my opinion on this. The Giants have not overreacted. Odell needs to know that he can get touched. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Odell, you're a great player, and I hope that you are able to put yourself in a place in this day and age where social media and everyone is aware of everything that you do. Put yourself in a better light, because people care, unfortunately. They care. They're not able to separate your on-the-field antics, and some of your on-the-field antics aren't that great, with your off-the-field antics. So nobody's saying be perfect, but just tone it down a little bit. Give us reasons to like you. Like, I don't have any reasons to like you, not a single one, other than you're cute. But your personality kind of just reads as arrogant, and you could use a little bit of humility. Nigga, be humble, okay? Sit down. Be humble.